Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories. And if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting a like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. And let's crack on with today's first story. Much love, guys. Now today's first story comes from the relationship advice subreddit from Impressive Height 275 and says, my 29 male, wife 27 female, met a man on holiday. Doesn't acknowledge my feelings about it. So my wife and I had planned to visit a mutual friend in a different country. I booked time off work based on the time my wife had booked off work. However, right before we left, she found out that her work had booked additional days and couldn't undo it. So I looked into getting that time off too, but I couldn't swing it. Then it transpired that her work then told her they could revert it, but she wanted to spend the extra 2 days on holiday with our friend. I thought this on its own was kind of hurtful, as we were planning to do it together and now I'd have to travel back by myself while she stayed on. But whatever, that's what we did. When texting over those 2 days, she'd say she was with our friend and at dinner, etc., and pictures of just our friend or the dinner table. Then when she got home, she mentioned that some guy approached her in the street and they talked about life for an hour. And apparently he was a landlord, and since our friend wants to move out of her place, she gave him her number and they all met for dinner. Our mutual friend and him apparently did not get on. So my reaction was, what the fuck? Some stranger comes up to hit on you and your reaction is to talk for an hour, give him your number and then have dinner with him. So she gets annoyed, saying, I knew you'd be like this. This is why I didn't tell you until now. Which is worse in my opinion, because she knew it upset me but just did it anyway and hid it by mentioning other things she was doing and not this, until it was too late for me to say anything. She says it was all innocent. It wasn't like that at all. That he just talked to her because she has the same tattoo as his sister, and that she told him she was married. I don't know. She's always been loyal but super naive with this stuff, but the fact that she knew I wouldn't like it and did all this is so calculated. I really don't like it. And apparently, she and my friend talked about me, and our friend said she didn't think my wife would tell me because I'm the type to get jealous over that. For context, my wife and I are probably about the same level of jealousy, and I know she would not be happy if I did this. But I would forgive her if she apologized, but she won't. The most she'll say is that she's sorry that she didn't tell me until she got back. But then I said the whole thing was fucked up. Not just that. She got annoyed and started defending her decision not to tell me. So we haven't talked in days now. She seems more annoyed at me for me being upset than I am. I don't know where to go from here. I don't want to just accept that she did this and don't feel bad about it and may do it again, but she doesn't feel she did anything wrong, though she won't apologize on how she's mad at me for being annoyed at her. No idea what to do now. Look, bumping into a stranger and having a conversation with them is one thing whilst on holiday. I imagine it happens all the time, but everything that happened after wouldn't sit right with me. You know, she talked to him for an hour, exchanged numbers, arranged dinner, didn't mention any of it while it was happening, and then admitted she specifically waited until she got home because she knew her husband wouldn't be comfortable with it. That's not naivety, that's making a decision to hide something because you know it'll cause an issue. The red flags are certainly red flagging for me in this situation. But the commenter says in quotes, I don't know, she's always been loyal but super naive with this stuff, and then says, my man, she is not naive with this stuff. AP replies saying, nah, she genuinely is. I've been with her before when this happened. She's a 10 out of 10, so guys always approach her, but she always assumes it's friendly until it isn't. Like I've been at parties/bars with her and come back to find her signaling to me to get away from guys that she thought were just being friendly but then became creepy. Commenter says, your wife isn't naive, you are. She knew exactly what she was doing and how it caused a strain in your marriage, but she did it anyway. Why did she give him her number instead of your friend's if the friend was the one who had interest in moving out? Why is it needed to go to dinner with this guy if the purpose of their contact was merely commercial and just finding a new place for your friend to live in? You'd better check her phone and her calls history. The story doesn't add up, and rethink if you still consider your friend a friend after knowing she knew what your wife was doing behind your back and didn't stop her, or at least had the decency to inform you. OP replies saying, yeah, I've thought about all those points exactly. I said that to her and her response was just, why can't I just make a friend? And yeah, I can't really see them as my friend after this. Commenter says, definitely tell her that this, if anything, violated a common sense boundary. The fact that she tried to hide it just compounded the problem. Tell her that you're having a lot of difficulty with this and you won't be satisfied till you immediately see a phone because trust is that risk here. A woman who gets hit on all the time, and that is a 10. It's smart enough and not naive to know what's going on. Yet she went away hiding it from you because she knew she was crossing a boundary. You got some serious problems, dude. Hate to tell you that. Opie says, yeah, it's shit. If I ask to see her phone, I know she's gonna blow up and call me crazy and controlling, and I doubt there's anything there. If there was, it's probably gone. Commenter says, in my opinion, your wife has ongoing resentment or anger towards you, and it's not about your reaction to her allowing a strange man to approach her. Why? Because instead of apologizing and moving on over for her nothing, she doubled down. You two need therapy to identify what the real issue is. Opie says, she's just always been like this. She never backs down. Maybe at the start of the relationship she would apologize if she did something wrong, but now that she knows I'm not gonna just leave, she doesn't, and she thinks she's always the one in the right. I think she resents being stuck at home all the time and liked having a bit of freedom, but in my opinion, she took it too far. Commenter says, honestly, your wife's reaction to her spouse being justifiably hurt by her actions is almost as big of a red flag than having inappropriate interactions with other men. Opie replied saying, yeah, that's the worst part. She's acting so annoyed, she has me feeling like the bad guy. Commenter says her behavior is never going to change. She definitely likes the attention, and you know it. She won't apologize for it. It also doesn't mean she's cheating, it's just who she is. The extra days booked is a little suspicious. That seems calculated. I don't know what to think there, other than she wanted time away from you for a couple of days. Opie says, I think it was just kinda selfish. Like again, she doesn't think it was wrong because she gave me options. So when she found out her work made the error, the options for me were either stay for even longer than her, i.e. still go back alone but a day after her so I could work remotely, or else ask work on Friday afternoon if I could extend my leave. But my contract is nearly up and I need to not rock the boats if I want to be rehired, so neither were really an option. But she says she gave me the choice to stay with her, so her hands are clean. But if it were the other way around, I would have come back together, so I do think it's selfish. A commenter says, did you corroborate the story with her friend? Did she tell the guy that she was married? Opie says, nah. I don't see the point as the friend was in agreement with her not to tell me. She said she told him she was married within the first minute or two and that it was not flirty, but who knows. I guess the positive is that they went to dinner all three of them rather than just the two of them. One more commenter says to OP, don't confuse jealousy with boundaries. She clearly did, and now she won't allow for consequences. Also, it appears she gaslit you. It's likely there's way more going on, and those extra 2 days, there may be more to the story. Check your phone bill. Look for numbers in the time frame that don't line up. It's all there. Just need to look for it. Opie says we don't have phone bills in our country, just our own separate mobile plans. They don't list numbers and no one texts or calls through the phone anyway. It's all through various apps. But yeah, I doubt it was premeditated. She had no way to know I wouldn't stay the extra days with her. That part, I believe. So at some point later, OP does come in with her update and says I confronted her about it again after a week of not talking. I asked if she had cheated and she laughed as if it was ridiculous to think that. She seemed convinced everything she did was perfectly normal and fine and couldn't understand why I was so upset. I doubled down on how serious it was and how suspicious all of it was and asked to see her messages with him. She had no objections to it, which was itself a huge relief. The messages themselves were mostly reassuring, though honestly, I'm not completely happy with everything. They had been texting a lot, mostly after the drinks talking about the big argument he got into with her friend. That was kind of disheartening to see all those texts when at the same time she was barely texting me. So there was nothing flirty on her side, but they were both talking about how glad they were that they met and how fun it was. But the whole time she'd been saying she had no indication that he was into her, but he was starting messages with baby. I freaked out at that. She kept saying it was just how friends talk. I said obviously not. I would never call a woman friend of mine baby, but she was adamant. And when talking about her friend, he said she was probably just jealous of her, which alone I think is telling. And a lot of messages of him just saying how amazing and everything she is. She wasn't really giving the same back. But the final message was him messaging her again 2 days ago, saying, hey sexy lady, how are you? So I lost my shit at that. She said yeah, that's why she stopped texting him. It grossed her out. To be fair, she had stopped texting him and archived the chat. Whether the chat was archived because she was creeped out or whether she was hiding it from me, I don't know. But she didn't try to hide it from me when I asked to see it. Could she have deleted some of the messages before this? I guess she could have, but I'm leaning towards she didn't, because she had already archived the chat and seemingly wasn't expecting me to see them, and could have just deleted everything. So on the one hand, I'm glad she had finally stopped when it was too obvious to ignore. But on the other hand, I'm really annoyed that she was acting like I was insane for saying he was interested in her. Even after all this, she was still annoyed at me for calling her naive, when I was obviously right. I mean, she's apparently naive enough to think the guy wasn't a creep in the first place, but aware enough to know how I'd react and hide it, and got annoyed at me for calling her naive if she genuinely believed he wasn't like that from the start. Also saw his profile photo, and he didn't look attractive, which helped, not gonna lie. But yeah, I guess it's all over now. It's still a bit hurtful, even though I don't think anything actually happened. It's depressing as hell knowing when I had to go back to work she was doing this, and the way she handled the whole thing. I really can't imagine a worse way of treating your spouse, even if she didn't cheat. I really have to question her judgment if she genuinely thought this guy just wanted to be friends, and the decision to just not tell me until she was in front of me and gaslight me about it. Opie then responded to some comments about the last text messages his wife had with the said landlord and says, "No, that was after I brought it up. I'm not sure when her last message was, but I think it was when she was still over there. Him calling her a sexy lady was him trying to hit her up again a few days before I confronted her, and she ignored it. She said she thought it was fine because he had gay vibes, and when showing me his profile picture said, 'See, doesn't he look gay?' So if I'm being charitable, then I can see a gay guy saying that without a girl thinking deeply about it. But yeah, I agree with you. I'm still not happy about it, and I'm definitely not going to be as trusting going forward, and not going to talk to the mutual friend again. Her telling my wife not to tell me since I'm insecure, and I find messages saying sexy and baby is just insane to me. I don't think she'll be too happy seeing the other messages of them discussing her negative qualities either, but whatever." Opie has another comment saying, "Yeah, I think it was because of what he said, because she's complained several times in the past few months about how men perceive her. Like she's gotten really disgusted at the idea of men seeing her as a woman/or in a sexual way. She said that was why she stopped replying. It wasn't even out of respect for me, it was just her being grossed out. Yeah, even if there was nothing there, it was still really disrespectful to do this and hide it from me after ditching me on holiday. And the behavior itself is just, I don't know. Getting so swept up in a new friendship with a complete stranger is just such a late teenage thing to do. I don't think it's the kind of thing you still believe in after 21 or so. Like, sure, you can make friends, but getting swept up and believing some stranger is your best friend all of a sudden is just childish in my opinion. Like, she acts like I'm too quick to judge people in a negative light, but I've basically always been right. She was admonishing me for judging this guy, but apparently it's fine for him to get into a big fight with her friend and then mouth off about her afterwards. I don't know. She really walks around with rose-tinted glasses, and I'm the bad guy anytime I make her confront reality. Like when we were arguing, she kept saying she told him she was married, so why would I be annoyed? And then when I pointed out that obviously he didn't care since you can see him trying to hit on you right there, I'm somehow still crazy." A commenter says to OP, "I actually rolled my eyes when she said friends call each other baby. I'm a woman who has many real long-time male friends. Not a single one calls them friends baby. They call their partners that, but not their friends. She's either gaslighting you or a complete fool. I'm leaning towards gaslighting." OP says, "I know. This whole time it's been, she says something completely insane and have a normal reaction, then she acts like I'm crazy. I do think she maybe didn't really think much of it. To be honest, it's mostly because the guy wasn't attractive, so I can't see her actually wanting to cheat with him if she was gonna cheat. But I'm still shook at reading those and seeing how she just ignored them and went and had drinks with him anyway. I know if she found texts on my phone calling another woman baby, she wouldn't see it as so friendly." A commenter says she isn't sorry about any of it. Blowing you off to spend extra days flirting and talking shit about you behind your back, flirting and going out on dates with strange men, ignoring you while messaging him non-stop. All of it. She'll do this again and you'll be the arsehole then too. Probably won't even tell you after her reaction here. A wise man once told me people are only as good as the lowest moment they drag you through. Act accordingly. She fucking sucks." Opie says, "Yeah, that was the worst part. Like if she had been sorry from the start or at least open to listening to how I felt, it would have been a lot better. But it was scary seeing how easily she just shut me down once she decided she was right and I was wrong." Opie then responds to a few commenters about his wife and her collaborating with her friend and not telling Opie what really took place and says, "Yeah, the minimalizing my feelings about it is maybe the worst part. She said her friend told her to not tell me because I'm jealous, so she acted like I was crazy, and then would say stuff like, 'You can't put me in a cage. If you're going to be like this, I'd rather just leave.' Wouldn't acknowledge any wrongdoing for over a week. I guess the reason she finally softened was because she did get the text confirming he was a creep and I was right, so maybe felt guilty, but even then, wasn't overly sorry about any of it. was more just happy to prove she didn't cheat. Like if I had done that and got the message, I would have thought about saying, hey, I just got a text and it turned out he was creepy after all. You were right and I'm sorry. But nothing like that. Just don't call me naive. I don't know, I thought I was over this after being pretty assured she didn't cheat, but I just can't really reconcile the notion that she had no idea about his intentions. Opie says, yeah, I kinda don't think she was lying about the friend. When we were all together, we were talking about a mutual friend who broke up because his girlfriend cheated on him in front of him, which I called obviously a relationship ending thing, and she said it didn't have to be, knowing like I was acting like a jealous person for saying so. I think calling someone jealous or controlling is easy to say, and once it's said, you're kind of tainted by it regardless of whether or not it's true, and anything you feel can just be waved away as you being jealous. Yeah, I definitely have become more anxious. It's weighing on my mind a lot. Not even that it was cheating, but just her ability to do all of that scares me, and also the fact that she sees it as completely normal apparently. I don't even know if I can bring it up again. She's just gonna act like I'm insane and walk out. And yeah, it's just hard because 99% of the time she's perfect. So I'm questioning if it's worth blowing that up for this. With a friend, we got into another fight that night after we patched things up because I mentioned that I wouldn't speak to that friend again. I don't see her as a friend. She said it was ridiculous, etc., and launched into a whole thing about me. Yeah, I agree it's abusive. Like, this has been hellish to go through. Like I said, she's not usually like this, but she does get like this when she thinks she's right. Like about a year ago, she got annoyed at me coming home late and hit me over the head and scratched the shit out of my arms. I told her that's fucked up, but she just said she could because I woke her up. The commenter says to OP, bro, she probably didn't cheat, but it doesn't matter, she's a liar and a manipulator. Calling you crazy for having questions over such a sus move is manipulative as fuck. I couldn't trust her over future moves. OP responds saying, yeah, we're kind of back to normal now, but if I'm honest, I don't really trust her to the same level as before. OP on getting couples therapy with his wife says, I did suggest getting couples therapy, and she just said she'd rather leave. As in me having this reaction to what she did is too much of an inconvenience for her, and since she didn't feel she had done anything, she'd rather leave than have to deal with me being insecure. Yeah, I had my concerns about her staying on in the first place without me, but thought it's fine as she's trustworthy, and it blew up in my face, so I won't have that same trust going forward. She really does seem allergic to taking accountability for things she's done wrong. I think because it used to be more the other way around. Her getting annoyed at things I'd done, but I'd always apologize. But whenever she does anything wrong, it's like pulling teeth trying to get any acknowledgement. Commenter says, I would leave her. You want to be with someone who is head over heels in love with you and is reassuring and doesn't even think about entertaining anything else. Unless you don't. But obviously you care or else you wouldn't be posting. Opie says, yeah, she seemed head over heels for me until this happened. It's really out of character, but she was immediately so cold once it happened. It was scary to see how quickly it just seemed to evaporate once I accused her of doing something wrong. And the final commenter says, your wife doesn't know how to set boundaries. And Opie says, yeah, I've seen it a lot firsthand. She'd never risk being impolite to a stranger, but this goes further than that. Since she agreed to meet him for drinks afterwards, she was actively choosing to do this. And at this point, mate, I would just be done. Got from like where she ditched a party or holiday, then she got messages calling her baby and later hey sexy lady, so your instincts were right on this. And then she's doubling down and saying friends talk like that and only stopped talking to him because she got creeped out, not because she recognized she crossed the boundary with her husband. Then you got the gaslighting that's going on in this post, and then the part where it said she hit you over the head and scratched your arms because you woke her up. That should have been the end of the relationship right there. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let's move on to another story. Now our next story comes from the relationships subreddit and says, my 25 female girlfriend, 25 female, wants to meet my sister, 7 female, who I take care of, but I'm not quite sure it's a good idea. 3 years ago, my parents died within 2 months of each other. My sister was only 4 at the time. At the time, I was just out of college, but I'd been hired by a company that recruited employees from top colleges in my field. I didn't really have any other family that I'd be remotely comfortable leaving her to, so I decided upon taking her in myself. Taking care of her has definitely been a challenge for me, but I've adjusted, and it's been an incredibly rewarding experience, and I wouldn't have it any other way. My current girlfriend and I met during a conference that I attended and really hit it off immediately. We have a lot in common and really seem to mesh very well. Our conversations are almost effortless, and being together with her feels very natural. We've been together for 1 year and 9 months at this point, and we've had a very fulfilling relationship so far. I told her from the beginning that I take care of my younger sister, and she said that she didn't mind at all and that she likes children. Recently, we've been discussing what our future together would look like. She says that she's in no hurry for us to get married and that at the end of the day it's just a piece of paper and that she just wants to be with me regardless of the formalities around it. She said that from what I've told her, that my sister sounds great and that she'd really like to meet her. She also added that she's not pressuring me about it, that she totally understands if I'm uncomfortable with the idea. We've been dating for a good chunk of time and it's approaching 2 years now. My main reason for being reluctant about introducing my girlfriend to my sister is that my sister has already dealt with more loss than most children go through in their entire childhood. I'm hesitant about the possibility of her getting attached to my girlfriend and something going awry. I definitely want my girlfriend to be my long-term partner. I've thought about it a lot and I love her and want us to spend our lives together. What is the right thing for me to do here? Should I put off introducing my girlfriend to my sister for now? How long would be an acceptable time frame for something like this? TLDR, unsure of whether or not I should introduce my sister, who I take care of, to my girlfriend yet. I find this one pretty sad because although I think OP is doing an absolutely amazing thing looking out for his sister, no doubt about that at all, sounds like an amazing human to be doing what he's doing. It almost feels like in some ways that his life is on hold. You know, he's been with her for 2 years now and still not introducing, which I think could almost go the other way if you like. And it's almost more risky not to introduce them because if the relationship really is heading towards bigger things or living together, his sister deserves time to get to know his girlfriend sort of naturally rather than just being told, you know, this person's going to live with us now. And the girlfriend sounds pretty amazing in this as well. She's not demanding to meet the sister or guilt trip him or anything like that. She's understanding of why he wasn't ready. It sounds pretty healthy. I think OP does deserve a lot of credit. It's got to be difficult dealing with these feelings around it. You're wanting to protect your sister. Clearly, he knows what she's been through. And himself as well. At 22, losing both your parents and then stepping up to raise what at the time is 4-year-old sister instead of, you know, letting her go elsewhere. That's an enormous sacrifice and responsibility to take on, and I can understand why he'd be overprotective. But I think at some point, protecting his sister also means allowing other good people into both of their lives. If he genuinely believes this woman is his future or something serious, it's healthier to go with it now, right? A commenter says to OP, have you managed to be with your girlfriend for almost 2 years without her and your sister meeting? OP says I've only ever brought her over my house whenever my sister wanted to have sleepovers at her friends' houses, when I've met with their parents of course. Otherwise I hire a babysitter that I trust while I'm out. Another one says, you're practically living a double life if you continue to keep them separate. You can't continue to protect your sister from loss forever. Let her find role models, make friends, and love another. So it was 19 days after this that OP did come in with an update and says, well, after posting here and asking some of my acquaintances who had experience with this kind of issue, most of whom said that 6 months would have been sufficient, I decided to bite the bullet and introduce the two. I decided upon taking the 3 of us out ice skating, an activity my sister really enjoys. At first my girlfriend wasn't so good, but she started to get the hang of it and we had a really great time. Afterwards the 3 of us went out for pizza. The 2 of them got along really well. My sister thought my girlfriend's skating abilities were absolutely hilarious and kept trying to help her get the hang of it. I think my girlfriend knew how ridiculous she looked because she couldn't help but laugh at herself. Her ability to laugh at herself is something I really like about her. When I asked my sister what she thought about my girlfriend, she said that she was pretty and funny and that she liked her and wanted to see her again. Similarly, the next time my girlfriend and I were together, she said that she had a fun time and that my sister was great, and she couldn't believe that I'd been hiding her for all this time. I'm pretty comfortable with the way things went. I'm thinking about possibly inviting my girlfriend over and I make dinner for me and my sister sometime next week. I'm still a bit hesitant because a lot of the comments in my last post urged taking it slow, so I'll have to give it some thought. TLDR, took the 2 of them out ice skating and went for pizza afterwards. Everyone had a great time. And there was many comments that were shocked on how long OP waited, almost 2 years, to introduce them. But for me, this was a 22-year-old who lost both parents within a couple of months of each other and stepped up to raise his young sister. Overnight went from being like a college graduate to a full-time parent. That's an incredible, huge amount of responsibility for someone so young. And he wasn't doing this because he was ashamed of his sister or stringing his girlfriend along or whatever. He was scared. He was scared of his little sister getting attached to another important adult and then potentially experiencing another brutal, devastating loss if the relationship didn't work out. And he was genuinely listening to everyone's advice, and it seemed to work out really good. So I'm just incredibly pleased for OP. And I really do hope that he looks after his own mental health at the same time, because remembering that he's gone through this situation as well with his parents. And I think with all the focus being on his sister, there might be a time where these feelings might creep up on him. I don't know, do I? But just from experience myself, these little feelings creep in here and there, don't they? But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories. Your love, your support, your time, looking out for one another is absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for being here, truly, and I will see you in the next one. Take care and much love.